higher end workstation than the Photoshop guys do, than the marketing team does, right? Now, compared to the average user who gets a laptop with, 4 gigs of memory or 3 gigs of RAM and that's it. But if you specific line of businesses, they get workstations or they get laptops that have a crap ton of more RAM across the board.
So it's more is it fair to say what you're seeing more in terms of shifting RAM specs is the end user applications, the endpoint, the client workstations. That's really where you're having to beef up the machines more than in the servers in your data centers?
No, so it's a combination of everything, right? So I'm still I'm still maximizing my RAM in my data centers, but that's in addition to the data centers, I'm seeing that I need to spec out more RAM across the board for my end users as well, too. So it's a combination of both. It's not just one or the other.
Yeah, got it.
If I have it as one or the other, I'm going to have a lot more people yelling at me compared to people who don't yell at me.
And, today, what would you say is the biggest constraint you've got for some of these memory hogging workloads? Why don't you spec out even more memory than you do right now?
Cost is a huge factor, and support, right? For servers and everything, I cannot use aftermarket memory modules. Yeah. That's a risk I can't take, because if my servers go down, I need HP to come on board and get that shit up and running. Whereas my workstations, I don't really care. I can use, aftermarket memory chips all day, every day, because if something breaks, I'm the local IT guy, and, tell them, hey guys, I'm sorry, it's going to take me a little longer to do, but I'll figure this thing out and I'll get back to you. But here, in the meantime, here's a loan on the laptop. It's not as fast or advanced, but at least you can get your shit done.
Yeah, okay. And you mentioned support there. Can you expand on that? How do those situations impact IT overall?
So if I'm using aftermarket memory modules on my HP servers, support doesn't exist.
Right.
Right, and that's a problem. And then if I'm buying a brand new server without any support, why am I buying a brand new server? I can just go buy an aftermarket server, or I can go to SMS or another third-party server manufacturer who basically refurbishes servers and sells it and supports it, right?
Right.
And I can get that for a third of a cost. But then if I have to go, then I have to worry about not SLAs, but ELAs and everything. I also have to worry about SLAs. Whereas with HP or Cisco, if I'm buying a top-of-the-line server, I know what their SLAs are. And if they don't adhere to the SLAs that they have given or we have given them, there is hell to pay. Right? I mean, I can tell you from experience, one of the biggest reasons why we ended up ditching our existing infrastructure for PECO and going into Cisco UCS server infrastructure was because that particular manufacturer dropped the balls on the SLAs 16 times, and that just irked the CEO and the CTO.
Yeah. All right, good. Let's see. So let's finish off with a few a few technology-related questions. So hypothetically, if you could double the amount of memory capacity in your existing environment without substantially increasing costs, how would that impact your overall memory strategy? What would you do differently?
I would put more workloads on my existing machines, and probably buy another few machines to scale out in case of a disaster. So in other words, if I have 4 servers and the third server is dead, that's fine. I have a fifth server that's powered on that's not doing anything. I can put that workload on that while I bring up my fourth workload up and running. So I can have a quote-unquote hot spare and a cold spare live in my production data center without having to fail anything over to DR. And that would just make life a lot freaking easier.
Good. Would it impact your organization's use of NVMe at all?
NVMe for what? Memory constraints? Or are you talking about NVMe for storage, like files and data storage, or memory storage here?
Well, how are you currently using NVMe in your environment?
So we